Rain hammered the windshield as the car skidded across the Seoul street. Chioma's fingers dug into the passenger seat. "Chinma, stop!" she screamed. Tires screeched. A horn blared as headlights flashed past them. Her twin just laughed, wild, fearless, her amber eyes flashing. "Relax, Chi. We made it this far from Lagos. What's one little chase in Korea?" Another gunshot split the air. The mirror shattered. "Chinma!" They veered into a narrow alley, glowing with neon blue light. The engine died with a violent hiss. The sisters sat gasping, hearts racing. The rain outside hissed louder. Chioma's voice broke. "Who are they?" Chinma ran a shaking hand through her braids. "The guy I met says he wanted his money back. That's all." "What money?" "I borrowed some," Chinma muttered. "Borrowed from who?" Thunder rolled overhead. Then a deep voice cut through the rain. Calm. Terrifyingly calm. "Step out of the car." The passenger door opened, and a shadow leaned in. Black suit. Tattoos winding up a jawline sharper than any blade. His hand held no weapon, but the silence around him was louder than bullets. Chioma stared. She didn't need introductions. She'd heard his name whispered around Itaewon like a curse. Kai-hun, the Korean Mafia boss, rumor said even killers feared. "Which one of you is Chinma?" That voice alone could freeze blood. Chinma swallowed. "I am." He studied her, then looked at Chioma. "And you're the sister?" Chioma nodded slowly. "She didn't mean to." He raised a hand to hush her. "Two faces, one debt," he said, turning away. "Both of you come with me." The moment they moved, she knew life would never be the same. If you feel the hairs rise on your arms, like this moment, because this is where innocence ends. The car ride was silent. Neon lights streaked across the tinted windows. Smells of smoke and rain filled the back seat. Chinma stared straight ahead, defiant. Chioma stole a glance at her. The same face, the same skin, but a different soul completely. They arrived at a mansion crouched against the mountainside, glass, marble, and menace. Guards waited, heads bowed as Ki-hun stepped out, trench coat flaring like wings. "Bring them inside," he said. The house was too quiet, the kind of silence that swallows footsteps. He led them into a grand parlor where a fire burned despite the humid air. "You understand what you did?" he asked. Chinma met his gaze. "I said I'd pay you back." He tilted his head, almost amused. "You think this is about money?" When no one answered, he walked closer. Slow, deliberate. "You took from the Yang Syndicate, Chinma. They'll come looking for me if I don't fix this. You see my problem?" Chinma's bravado drained away. Chioma stepped forward, trembling. "Let me work. I can paint, design, anything. Let us stay. Don't hurt her." His eyes flicked to her. "You paint?" "Yes." He seemed to consider something unseen. "Fine, you'll both stay. Your sister will repay what she owes. You—" He paused, eyes softening briefly. "You'll paint something worth keeping." The guards led them to a furnished room with barred windows, disguised as elegance. The door shut with a quiet click, and the sisters realized they were prisoners. "Chi," Chinma whispered shakily, "we'll be okay. It's temporary." "Temporary?" Chioma laughed bitterly. "You drag us into the den of a mafia boss, and you call it temporary?" Chinma turned away, hugging herself. "I thought I could impress him. He's dangerous, but he listens. I wanted to matter to someone powerful." Chioma stared at her in disbelief. "You wanted him?" "No. Maybe." Her voice cracked. "I don't know anymore." Days passed. Ki-hun came often, but spoke little. Yet every time he entered, the air shifted. His presence carried gravity. Not shouting, not cruelty, but that unspoken tension of a man who could destroy you with silence. One afternoon, Chioma sat near the terrace windows sketching the sea. He stopped beside her, watching. "You draw the world as it could be," he said in Korean. She looked up. "No, as it should be." His lips curved slightly. "Hope. That's dangerous here." "So is fear," she said. He watched her longer than he should have, then left without a word. That night, Chinma cornered her. "Why are you talking to him?" "He spoke first. You think I don't see how he looks at you?" Chinma's voice broke into a whisper. "Don't do this to me, Chi. You always take what's mine." Chioma stepped back, stunned. "What are you talking about? Back home, it was friends, love, attention. Now him. You make everyone forget I exist." "Chinma, that's not true. You don't even realize it," she snapped, tears glinting. "You're everything good. I'm everything broken." Chioma reached out, but Chinma turned away. The bond between them, once unbreakable, was fraying. That same night, Ki-hun stood outside their door, hearing the muffled tension inside. One sister's voice, trembling with guilt, the other's with rage. He shut his eyes. He'd seen too many families consumed like this in his world. He didn't know why this one mattered mire to him. If this story has you holding your breath too. Take a second. Like this video, so I know you're still with me. Because what comes next? It only gets darker. The next morning, thunder rolled across the city. Ki-hun stared at reports on his desk. "The Hongdae shipment went missing," his assistant said. "Find the leak," he ordered. Later that day, he passed through the hall and saw Chioma cleaning a paintbrush. He stopped. "Sometimes beauty hides danger better than a lie," he said. "Maybe that's why people believe in love," she answered quietly. He froze at that word. Love. A word he'd forgotten the taste of. That night, he stood under the hallway lamp, the sound of rain pressing against the glass, wondering if two faces could really belong to one heart. That night, the mansion swayed in the wind, thunder rumbling like a warning from heaven. Lights flickered. Somewhere deep inside its marble walls, Chinma crept barefoot through the corridor, a silk robe whispering against her skin. She whispered to herself, "Just one file, Chinma. Get it and go." Lightning flashed. A door clicked open. "Looking for something?" Her blood froze. Kai-hun's voice echoed from the darkness. He stepped into view, calm, deliberate. A half-empty glass of whiskey glowed amber in his hand. I couldn't sleep," she said. He took a slow breath. "You broke into my office to fight insomnia?" "I wanted to talk." Her smile trembled. "About us." He said nothing, watching the pulse at her throat. "There is no us." "Yes, there is," she hissed, stepping closer. "I can see it in your eyes." He set the whiskey down. "You mistake attention for affection." "Then what is it?" she whispered. "A warning," he said. His tone softened only a hair. "Go back to your room. I'm running out of patience, and I'd rather not see your sister cry again." She went still. "My sister." He didn't reply. He didn't need to. Something ugly uncoiled inside her chest. When she left, lightning lit her face, envy twisting with hurt. If you can feel her fury creeping in like that storm outside, drop a like. You'll want to remember this part when everything catches fire. The next morning, Kai-hun faced Min-jae in the study. "Another shipment gone," the lieutenant said. "Someone's feeding Park information." Kai-hun stiffened. "Who?" "I suspect the wild sister. Chinma." He said nothing for a full beat. "Watch her. Discreetly." Min-jae tilted his head. "And the other one? She's getting under your skin." Kai-hun's eyes narrowed. "Leave her out of this." When Min-jae left, Kai-hun stared through the rain-streaked window. He hated the truth. She was under his skin. Later that day, the air in the corridor shimmered with quiet music. Chioma sat sketching near a window, a small portable speaker playing soft Afro-jazz. Ki-hun lingered in the doorway. "You draw even in storms," he murmured. She didn't look up. "The storm gives color to the sky." He stepped closer. The scent of turpentine and sea salt clung to the air. "Most people paint to forget." "Maybe I paint to remember," she said. Their eyes met, and for the first time in years he felt exposed, like the man behind the tattoos was still human. Then Chinma's voice sliced the moment apart. "What is this?" She stood at the end of the hall, eyes blazing. "You and my sister? After everything?" Chioma rose, face pale. "Chinma, please!" "Stop defending him. He's playing us." "Enough," Kai-hun said sharply. "Both of you." When he looked at Chioma, his tone softened. "Go. Now." Chioma obeyed, gaze lingering on him before turning away. That night, Chinma's jealousy turned to a fever. She went to the servants' quarters, snatched a phone, and dialed a number she swore she'd forget. "Park," she whispered. "You still want his secrets?" "Always. I'll bring them. Tomorrow. Docks. Sunset. Don't be late." She hung up, trembling. At midday the next day, Min-jae burst into the office. "Boss, the leak's traced. It's Chinma." Kai-hun froze. "Where is she?" "Gone. She stole the car keys." For a moment, the mask cracked. "Ready the convoy." He tore through the streets with 2 black cars behind him, tires screaming against wet asphalt. He called ahead. No answer. Only silence and thunder. Chioma felt it before she heard it. Something hollow inside her snapped. She caught the distant wail of engines and sprinted out the back door, rain lashing her face. Voice trembling, she whispered, "God, not again." She flagged down one of Kai-hun's drivers, desperate. "Take me to the docks. Now!" Thunder split the sky as they arrived. Chinma stood by the railing, soaked hair plastered across her face, holding a small silver flash drive between 2 shaking fingers. Ki-hun stepped out, gun glinting low by his side. "Give it to me," he said. "Now!" Chinma laughed bitterly. "You think I'm scared? You took everything. Maybe I'll give it to Park instead. There's nowhere left to run. Then at least I'll die making you remember my name." Before he could reach her, she hurled the flash drive into the water. A whisper-soft splash followed. "You don't get it, do you?" she cried. "You turned sisters into enemies." Kai-hun's voice cracked. "I tried to protect you both. Liar. You only looked at her." A flash of headlights cut through rain. Min-jae's car pulling up fast. He jumped out, shouting in Korean, weapon already raised. "Boss, move!" Everything happened faster than thought. A shot exploded, echoing against cargo crates. The world froze. Chinma staggered once, twice, fell to her knees. Blood spread across her blouse. Chioma screamed. Ki-hun turned just in time to see Min-jae lower the weapon, horror dawning on his face. She aimed first." Ki-hun punched him so hard the gun flew into the mud. "Get out! Now!" Rain poured. Chioma ran forward, catching her sister before she hit the ground. "Stay with me," she sobbed. Chinma's lips trembled, words barely forming. You look like Mom when you cry. Don't talk. We'll call help." Chinma smiled weakly. "Promise me, don't forgive him too easily." No, don't." Her hand slipped away. The rain drowned everything else. "If your chest feels tight right now, remember, this story isn't over." Pull that subscribe button, because what Chioma does next will break you and save her, all at once. Ki-hun knelt in the mud, eyes blank, rain dripping down his tattoos like tears he didn't know how to shed. "Get out," he told Min-jae again. The man vanished into the storm. For hours, Kai-hun and Chioma didn't move, just two silhouettes framed by thunder and loss. She whispered finally, "You killed her." He shook his head weakly. "I didn't stop it." "That's the same thing." When dawn bled through the clouds, Chioma rose, cold and empty. "Don't follow me," she said. He didn't. Her footsteps disappeared into the wind, and for the first time, Ki-hun realized how silence could hurt worse than bullets. The sea swallowed the morning light as Chioma walked away from the docks. Rain stuck to her skin like a second heart beating outside her body. Behind her, paramedics' sirens wailed, then drifted into nothing. Inside her pulse, only silence roared. She reached a narrow alley, sat against a wet wall, and whispered to no one. She hated me till the end. Her hands still smelled like blood and salt, and for the first time in her life, she wasn't sure she deserved to live more than her sister. Across the city, Ki-hun stood before what remained of his empire. Papers burned in steel drums, cash and files went up in smoke. His men were gone, some dead, some running. He watched the ashes swirl, every thread of power he'd built turning into ghosts. Min-jae lingered a few meters away, nursing his bruised jaw. "Boss, police will find the body. If you stay—" "I said burn everything," Kai-hun murmured. Wordlessly, Min-jae left him. Ki-hun remained, watching the flames climb higher, whispering, "This was supposed to protect them." By nightfall, the mansion was nothing but rubble and embers. The fire's orange glow reflected off the ink on his skin. Every tattoo looked like it was bleeding light. Miles away, Chioma rented a small room above a fish market. The smell of salt and diesel never left the air. She sat by the window that overlooked the sea and painted until the world blurred. Every canvas became a grave. In each one, Chinma was laughing, alive in color, dead in memory. Weeks blurred into months. Her life shrank to paint, silence, and sleepless nights. Then one afternoon, a single knock landed on her door. She froze. No one ever came here. "Chioma." Her paintbrush slipped from her hand. She knew that voice. Ki-hun stood there, thinner, paler, as if half of him had burned in that fire. His arm was still bandaged. His eyes had lost their sharpness. "Don't," she whispered. "You don't get to say my name." He didn't move. "I shouldn't be here. But there's truth you need to hear." "No," she shouted, voice cracking. "You said truth once before, remember? It always hurt." He swallowed hard. Min-jae fired the shot. She aimed first. I saw it too late. I didn't pull the trigger." Her breath faltered. "Stop lying to make me forgive you." "I'm not," he said quietly. "The bullet wasn't mine, but the world that created it was. That's why I burned it all." She looked away, fists trembling. "She told me not to forgive you too easily." "Then don't. Just listen." He stepped closer, rain dripping from his coat onto her wooden floor. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something silver, small, shining, familiar. The pendant, the crescent moon her sister had always worn. "I found this in her hand." He placed it on her table, careful, respectful. "It belongs with you." Chioma's hand trembled as she picked it up, cradling it like a heartbeat. "Why did you keep it?" "Because it was proof that something good still existed." For a long time, no one spoke. The ocean crashed against the pier outside. Finally, she said, "You should go." "I will," he said softly. "But you need to know nothing I built survives now. I hurt too many people trying to protect what I never understood." Maybe you were right to stay human when I turned into a weapon." She laughed bitterly. "You think that's redemption?" "No," he replied. "Redemption is painting her face until you can smile again." His words landed heavy. She turned toward him, eyes glistening. "You talk like you're already dead." "I might be," he whispered. Then his hand brushed the doorframe, steadying himself before stepping into the fog. If that goodbye pierced your chest as hard as hers, touch the like button. Because he's leaving, but fate hasn't finished with either of them yet. Days drifted by. Chioma barely slept. At night she'd hold the pendant and imagine her sister's voice cutting through the wind. Don't forgive him too easily. But grief reshapes memory. She began to remember laughter before arguments, light before the fire, love before loss. Finally, she opened her phone and played the last voicemail Chinma ever sent before things spiraled. "You always see beauty in broken things. Maybe one day you'll forgive me for breaking everything." She sat there crying until dawn. Meanwhile, Ki-hun boarded a train heading south, head bowed beneath a cap. Faces around him blurred into a sea of strangers. In his lap rested a worn notebook. Inside were clippings of art magazine pages. Chioma's paintings, printed small but alive. He traced her signature with his thumb. He murmured, "If you survive this world, I was worth something after all." When the train reached Busan, he vanished among fishermen and old harbors, working repairs on boats for cash, leaving behind no name. Some nights he woke sweating, hearing gunshots that weren't there. Some nights he saw twin faces in the moonlight. Time moved on. One grey afternoon, Chioma received a letter. No address, only her name written in familiar, sharp handwriting. Inside were 2 airline tickets and a note. "You once said art must be truth. Here's mine, Kyae-hun." She read it 3 times, then ripped it up. But that night, she dreamed of him bleeding under the same moon her sister had sworn would watch over them. If you've ever lost someone, and still kept loving them through memories, subscribe. Because this story, right here, it belongs to all of us who never got goodbye. The next morning, she set up a new canvas. The salt wind filled the room. Her hand hesitated above the blank white, then moved fast, furious, unstoppable. She painted 2 figures standing beneath a burning sky, herself and her sister. But behind them, hidden in the fire's reflection, was a man walking into the sea. She added 1 final stroke at dawn. The light turned the paint silver, like the glow of the crescent pendant at her throat. And for the first time, she whispered, "Go in peace, both of you." Somewhere far away, beyond the surf and cities, a man lifted his head toward the same sunrise and whispered, "Under the same sky." Snow arrived early that year. Busan looked bruised under the pale sky, the ocean restless like a heart that refused to settle. Chioma finished the last of her paintings, hands trembling from cold and sleepless nights. The gallery owner insisted the collection was a masterpiece, 2 sisters reborn in color and loss. But to her, each brush stroke still felt like an unfinished apology. The night before the exhibition, she climbed to the rooftop above her studio, holding her sister's pendant. "Chinma," she whispered to the dark, "if I did all this just to bring you back for a second." I hope it was enough. Wind howled, stinging her cheeks. Then, soft footsteps behind her. She turned sharply. Ki-hun stood there, wrapped in a worn coat, snow melting in his hair. He looked thinner than memory, alive but fading around the edges like a ghost choosing one last visit. "I heard about your show," he said quietly. "They said people cry when they see your work." Chioma couldn't move. "I shouldn't forgive you for being here," Then don't, he said, stepping closer. Just let me see what she looked like through your eyes. They descended into the studio. Every wall glowed with paintings, faces like lightning frozen in paint, sisters locked between love and disaster, a man's shadow stretching across oceans. He stared, chest tight. You kept her alive, he whispered. She always breaks into my colors, Chioma said, even when I try to paint peace. He nodded slowly. That's what I wanted to tell you. The men who hunted me are gone. Park's dead. Min Jae's in prison. I got a message out. Made things right as much as I could. Why are you really here? She asked. I wanted to bring this to an end. He reached into his coat and placed a folded paper on her table. The money from my last smuggling route. It's yours. Maybe open an art school. Move somewhere safe. She unfolded it only to shove it back. Do you think money paid for what happened? You don't buy peace, Kai-hun. You live through it. He almost smiled. Then live enough for both of them. Silence filled the room again. The peaceful kind, not the empty one they'd known before. Then glass shattered behind them. Bullets tore through canvases. She screamed. Get down! Kai-hun lunged, pulling her behind the workbench. More glass broke. Voices outside shouted in Korean. Park's stray men seeking vengeance. He grabbed a pistol from his coat, the same wary calm sliding over his face. They weren't supposed to know I was here. How many? She stammered. 2, maybe 3, he said. Stay here. Ki-hun, don't! He looked back. If I die, promise me you'll finish the story. He burst through the doorway, gunfire echoing against concrete walls. She crawled to a corner, hands pressed to her ears. Paint buckets spilled, colors mixing with blood on the floor. One attacker fell, another charged, blade glinting. Ki-hun blocked, fired, staggered. Then silence, heavy, long, endless. Bursting out from hiding, she found him on his knees, one hand pressed to his side. Blood bloomed across his coat. No, 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 she cried, dropping beside him. He smiled weakly. I guess violence never keeps its promises. Hold still. She ripped a canvas into strips, pressing them against his wound. You'll make it. He shook his head slowly. I think. This is where I rest. Don't say that. Listen. His voice grew faint. You once said beauty survives anything. So survive, Chioma. Let beauty win for once. She gripped his face, tears spilling. I can't lose you too. He reached up, smearing a bit of paint from her cheek onto his fingertips. Now I'm part of your canvas. Then, with a trembling laugh, he whispered, She's waiting for me, you know. The moonlight feels lighter already. He sagged in her arms, exhaling as snow drifted through the broken window. Outside, sirens grew louder, far too late. If your eyes sting right now, take a breath, and hit the like and subscribe button to honor every Chioma who loved too deeply, and every Ki-hun who tried to be better too late. Weeks later, a newspaper headline read, Mafia boss found dead protecting local artist. The public called it redemption. Chioma called it the price of closure. Months rolled like slow waves. Her gallery tour began quietly, but word spread. People came from across continents to see the story told in paint, 2 sisters and the man who taught them how fragile redemption can be. Cameras flashed, interviews came. Critics said her art made sorrow luminous. On the last night of the exhibition, she stood before the final piece, a vast mural of an ocean at dawn. In the waves, 2 faint faces looked upward. In the distance, a small figure walked into light, half shadow, half piece. She brushed her fingers across its wet surface, whispering. We finally made it home. Then she turned toward the crowd, her eyes catching the shimmer of the pendant around her neck. "This," she said softly, "is for anyone who's lost someone and kept loving them anyway." Later, alone in the empty hall, she lingered under the spotlight one last time. The moonlight broke through skylights and spread across the mural until it looked alive. She glanced up and smiled faintly. "Under the same sky," she whispered. For a moment, she could almost hear them. Chinma's mischievous laugh, Kai-hun's quiet, weary chuckle mingling with the ocean wind. "I hope somewhere," she murmured, "you're both at peace." Gentle piano music fades in under the narrator's final words. "And if you've stayed with this story until now," the voice says softly, "go ahead and hit subscribe. Because here, every story reminds us, love doesn't end. It just changes its name